I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. The big day is here. Today is election day. The midterm elections have finally arrived. And what I want to share with you this morning and on this day is a video which I believe to be part of the most important series of videos we've done at the MeidasTouch Network, where we highlight former Republicans and independents who have left the MAGA Republican Party because the Republican Party has gone MAGA and the party has left them. These are people who have shared their heartwarming stories with us, how they used to be Republican or independent or voted split ticket, but this extremism, this cult behavior, this anti-democratic nature, the hate that is spewed, the cult, the weird, all of this combined has led them to leave. I want to read their stories now, but this all began with a single tweet by our MeidasTouch Twitter account, where we said normal Republicans are being pushed out of the GOP in droves. They are being labeled rhinos and traitors by a fascist MAGA movement that bears no relation to conservatism. Many of these Republicans will be voting blue. Do you have a similar story? Share it with us. We got tens of thousands of responses, so we made a YouTube video part 1, a YouTube video part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, part 6, part 7. This is part 8. This is the last part in our series after over 1 million views and literally tens of thousands, over 50,000 comments that have been shared with us. It is my pleasure to bring you this last video in our series. So let's get right into these comments. Sasha Chapman writes, "Proud to vote Democrat this time. I'm not an angry old man. I'm proud to be a common sense old lady. Ex-Republican. Jesus is not orange. I do not hate Trump. He is just dishonest and as smart as a box of rocks." Thanks for sharing, Sasha. Mark Stewart writes, "Hi, Ben. I'm 66, have registered Republican my whole life, and have voted Democrat now and then. It sickens me to see our party go to hell. I stand for democracy, women's rights to their birdies, and decency. I now am voting Democrat and have changed to independent. I hope the right wing does not ruin our country. Thank you for your channel and honesty, Mark." Thanks for sharing, Mark. Lisa Ruth writes, "We were voting Republican for 50 years. Suddenly experiencing Trump in the government, we were disgusted with what was being shown by him and his party. Changed our party to voting Democratic and voting with blue." Thanks, Lisa. Alice May writes, "I was a lifelong Republican. I left the party about 1 month after Trump took office. I could not tolerate what he represented nor how he acted. I registered as a Democrat and have voted straight blue since then. I refuse to give my business to any company I know supports Trump and his henchmen. I found Trump's bragging about how great he is so distasteful that at the age of 55, I got a tattoo that says, 'We can do no great things, only small things with great love.'" Mother Teresa quote, and I'm not even Catholic. "I wanted it as a permanent mark on my body as opposition to the evil Trump." Thanks, Alice. Now we got one from Linda Graham. "I'm happy to say that I'm apparently a rhino. I will be changing parties. I'm embarrassed to say that I'm Republican. I will be voting blue from now on." Next one is from Crystalline. "My Republican daughter is voting Democrat also." Thanks for sharing. Heather Rice writes, "My father was a Republican all his adult life, and after January 6th, my father changed his party to independent. This is huge. My father is 84 years old, and I never thought my father would change his views. Truly proud of him." Vexy writes, "I used to be Republican and all my family as well, and this year we are voting blue to protect our Constitution End democracy. Little Miss Augie writes, I'm registered independent who splits her ticket usually. Last 2 elections voted for Republican governor and more. This year, straight blue. I can't even consider voting anyone on the right in. These candidates are all crazy. I agree, and thanks for sharing, Little Miss Augie. Jim D. writes, I voted Republican since 1991 when I started military service, so I was always in my own best interest to vote for job security. Now a veteran, I'm a Republican, but not a MAGA Republican. The momentum of the congressional support is like a snowball that has gained odd power as it rolls downhill. So politicians need to keep their own job security stable and secure by backing MAGA, or else they will lose their security in more ways than one. Acting in this way is understandable since they're protecting their family and the people they rely on to stay in their positions of power. History is replete with examples of folks following divisive leaders in the same way, and this won't be the last time. History will eventually remember everyone's story and actions. So right now is the right time to share our stories. Thanks, Jim, for sharing this story with us here. The mouse that roared, right? Registered Republican for 40 plus years and a never Trumper. Changed affiliation to independent nonpartisan in 2018 and voted and will vote straight blue ever since. Danny Adams writes, I was raised in a very conservative family in Southern Illinois. I got discouraged in 1999 about our voting system, so I went into the military and stopped voting. I was discouraged when Trump got the office in 2016. I accepted it, though. Then January 6th happened. I registered and voted all blue early for the first time since 1999. I've destroyed friendships and family connections doing the right thing. Vote blue. Bad stuff happens when good people do nothing. Thanks for sharing that, Danny. Carol Cotton writes, my husband and I were both registered Republicans for 50 years. We are done with the tax cuts for the wealthy and corporations. We are done with the Putin supporters. We are done with the hate and the lies. Thanks for sharing, Carol. Robin O'Connor writes, I've always been independent and voted a mixed ticket, but the Republican train wreck needs to be derailed. I voted straight Democrat, something I have never done in my entire life. Thanks for sharing. JB writes, I was an independent swing voter for 50 years. The last 2 votes, I voted straight Democrat ticket, and I'll never vote for a Republican again, even if I win the Powerball. And David Zeke writes, my sister, a diehard conservative in Iowa, is voting Democratic this one time. She vows she isn't leaving the GOP, that this one time she is voting blue to get rid of MAGA. Stabworthy Headquarters writes, my brother-in-law was a hardline Republican for 30 years, but it took Trump's mishandling of COVID for him to switch. Thankfully, family health means more to him than party lines, and I should be happier about it. But frankly, any human with a heart couldn't be a Republican after all of that. Mesmerize writes, I was an independent voter because I believe in researching the candidates and choosing the best candidate to represent my views. The Republican Party has now guaranteed my vote will be straight blue for the rest of my life. Our country and democracy is at risk, and each of us must do what we can to ensure our future. The Democratic Party has its own issues, but the Republican Party is just plain evil. I want compassion and progress, not regression and oppression. Vote blue. Jamie Maddox writes, thank you for your coverage and changing my mind for a first-time conservative vote. I appreciate that. And I appreciate all the comments that we received. And so now, here is what I ask you to do. Today is Election Day. Spread this video to anybody on the fence of voting. Just send it to them right now, please. Send them a text message and say, please will you watch this, and please will you vote blue for our democracy. We need to go back to the days where we can have honest political disagreements between 2 political parties that support our democracy, but that just doesn't exist now. We only have one political party, the Democratic party that supports our democracy and has adults in the room trying to make the right decisions. And do Democrats always get it right? No. Do I agree with Democrats on issues? Absolutely. Do I agree with Democrats on a lot of issues? Sure. But Democrats are at least trying to make the lives of people better. They're fighting for workers. They're fighting for the freedoms of women. They're fighting that all people can live with dignity. Democrats are fighting not just for a living wage, while Republicans want to keep the most minimum wage possible. Democrats are fighting for a wage with dignity. We're fighting to make healthcare more accessible. We're fighting to make education more accessible, to lower prescription drug prices, to make sure everyone gets Social Security and everyone who's entitled to it gets Medicare, to fight for these things, to help our infrastructure, to build and bring jobs here into the United States. And Democrats have shown that with policy. The policy's perfect. Are they open to criticism? Sure. But on the other hand, you have this MAGA fascist cult where they aren't even talking about issues. All they are talking about is who worships Donald Trump the most. And that is scary. That is fascist. That is weird. And we need to repudiate and reject that at the polls today. So I hope if you're undecided right now and you've watched this video, you've said, you know what, I'm going to the polls right now and I am going to vote blue. I am going to vote for the Democratic candidates. And please, if you can encourage anyone to do so, please do so now. Whoever it is, send them this video and you can put your comments below and share your stories right here with everybody if you succeeded, and share some tactics about how you've been able to encourage people to vote today. What worked, what didn't work, and how can we get more people out there to the polls today? So share that in the comments right now. Share any stories that you have in the comments now, and please share this video. Please vote, and please make sure people that you know vote in any way that you can help persuade people to vote blue today. Please do that. You can be the difference in this election. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit the subscribe button right now. We're on our way to 1 million subscribers. In addition, if you want to become a patron of MeidasTouch, go check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. That's patreon.com/MeidasTouch. There's great exclusive content there at the different memberships that I know you'll love, but most importantly, help grow this independent media platform. That's patreon.com/MeidasTouch. I'm Ben Meiselas, and thank you for all of your hard work.
MeidasTouch is unapologetically pro-democracy. And look, we know you are too. So please make sure you check out our best-selling shirt and our best-selling gear, the unapologetically pro-democracy gear. And hey, while you're at it, make sure you check out my favorite shirt and one of our most famous designs. It wasn't rigged, you're just a loser. At store.meidastouch.com. That's store.meidastouch.com.